Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. Liftoff.
Hello, what is up, guys? Welcome back to Interplanetary Monkeys episode. I've honestly lost count, guys. I've honestly lost count. Let me check real quick. Episode number 55, if my notes serve me correctly. You know the deal, guys. 55 straight weeks. Back at it again. Always and somewhat forever. All right. 5-10 years at the least. At the least, that's what I told myself. And anyway, what a week to be an American, guys. What a week to be an American. It would be a disservice to you guys, the viewers, everybody involved in this podcast, if we didn't talk about the storming of the White House. Okay, so this past week, the White House, the Capitol building, the staple, America, the free, home of the free and the brave, was stormed by protesters. Okay. And these protesters were from the Trump, the count is not over movement. Right. So since the decision was made for the election, Trump has continually claimed that the count was rigged. Right. The election was falsified and illegal votes made him lose. He did not lose fairly. It was not fair. The election was rigged. This is not fair. This is not America. Okay. And as a result of this movement building and building and building, and him not letting up and him not admitting his loss to the election, a lot of his less educated followers, I know that's a very bold claim, but I mean it, and I'll talk about it more. A lot of his less educated followers have continually been fed like fire. Okay, and this anger in some of his followers that are less connected to media, that are less accepting of the actual truth and what's going on in our election, in our nation, have gotten to the point where they're so angry that they got in arms, got geared up, got rifles, and went and protested the White House. Now that protest escalated. Okay, that protest escalated until they eventually actually breached the White House. And chaos ensued, guys. Chaos ensued. Okay. Now, why do I say undereducated here? Why do I say that Trump's undereducated followers are the ones doing this at the White House? I say they're uneducated because there is literally no end result for these mobs or protesters at getting into the White House. Right? Usually protests have a goal. Right? Protests have value, because they have a goal behind them. When they allow humans, they allow Americans to keep our government in check, right? We're not being overly ruled, right? These are we elect these people. They're on our team, all right? So if the people we elect aren't doing their job, we should be allowed to get in a mob, get in a group, and go exemplify our anger to the people that we elected, right? That is the reason for protesting. If we have a problem with something that's going on, we vote for the people that are in office. And if the people that we vote for aren't doing what we want them to do, then we should be allowed to do something about it. So awesome. Protesting is great. But here's the issue. This Trump, the vote was fraud. The election was rigged. This protest that eventually led to the breaking into the White House had no absolute goal whatsoever. Okay? Let's think about the Black Lives Matter protests. The goal was to increase awareness of racism, improve U.S. policing. Okay? And it worked. Right? The nation was in an uproar. Right? Leaders are thinking about how they can revamp policing, how they can revamp our the way we handle crime and the way we go about handling individuals who are involved in crime. Right? These things are all being shined a bright light on because we have the ability to protest and say, hey, We are very angry. Okay, let's take it back a little further. Think about in the case of the prohibition. Right, these protests for the prohibition were targeted at legalizing alcohol. Okay, these protests have goals because that's the point of them. But the problem with these White House protests was it was nothing but a show of power. There was no goal. Right? You could say that the goal was to get Trump back in office for the next section, the next 4 years. But that's not the case. He lost. Okay, these people were fed a false narrative. And because, for whatever reason, this small group of people wasn't consuming any outside information or wasn't accepting any outside information of why the election wasn't rigged, why it wasn't fake. They live in this fantasy land of that in their world that this is the only option, right? They thought for whatever reason they should run in to the White House, the crown jewel of America, with guns and say that the election was rigged. And it's just, there's nothing to it, guys. There's nothing to it. We're not going to overturn the presidency. We're not going to switch things around. All this was a bunch of undereducated people, and I stand by that, trying to show power and have a little fun. Okay. So I don't really know. I don't really know what to think about it. My big takeaway is that this event shines a fucking floodlight on how stupid a lot of people are in America. Okay? This escalated so much, guys. This escalated so much. It went far beyond just this storming of the White House. And this is a huge wake-up call. For me personally, because I work in a different world. Right? I work in higher education. I live in higher education. I eat, drink, sleep, learning, and developing. And I am not around people like this ever. Okay? I am not around anybody during my day-to-day work or life that would be one of these people storming the White House. Okay? It's just very interesting. This seems alien to me. I can't even believe that people would do this. People would go about something so undereducated, so stupid. Okay? And I believe that a lot of people are in the same boat as me. All right? I think it's important. We've talked about it hundreds of times. This idea of fear-mongering, of social media, how they weaponize events to get clicks and action. Right? When you watch the media, you would probably assume that this is a huge thing, that holy shit, Americans are going crazy. Americans are storming the White House. But this is not the case at all, guys. Almost everyone I've seen make a video on this, almost everyone I have talked to, is in agreement that whoever is storming the White House is an absolute idiot. That was stupidity. That was not the move. So it's just a very, 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 very minuscule group of Americans that were kind of tricked, that were brainwashed into thinking that things were not the way they actually are, right? That they were malicious, that people want to attack Trump. Okay, and I think it's important to note that, yeah, there was some voter fraud in the election, right? There's voter fraud in every election. Do you know how fucking hard it is to make sure that not a single fake ballot is casted across the entire United States during an election? All right? There's, of course, going to be at least 10, 20, 50 bad apples in the booth counting ballots that wants a certain person to win that might swing a vote one way. Yeah, but is it relevant enough to actually swing an election, guys? Absolutely not. And our government has spent a great deal of time proving this to us. Okay? The biggest takeaway I can think of from this event, guys, is work on your brain. Develop yourself and your perspective. Okay? These people that stormed the White House are pawns. Okay? They are pawns. Right? They weren't consuming information. They're not consuming information readily. Right? They're feeding themselves the bias that they want to hear. They're listening to only what they want to hear. Right? They have a preconceived idea of what is the truth, and it doesn't matter what information they get. They don't give a fuck about anything that would dispel that they're, what they want to think. Right? I want this to be a comeback story for Trump. I want the world to be against Trump. And I just don't think this is the move, guys. I'll take it a step further and say this is definitely not the move. Don't be a pawn, okay? And if you and as a result of people not working on themselves, not developing their perspectives, Trump has empowered every dumbass in America to revolt against the nation for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Now, I want to be very clear here. I am not anti-Trump, okay? I'm not for or against him, right? I'm not one of these people that goes around and hates on people that do hate on that do support Trump. I'm just trying to give you a very, very middle ground perspective and just say, I believe I represent the majority of America when I say that the people that storm the White House are idiots. And this is not how things go. And this is a direct result of people not using their fucking brains, of not learning properly, of not making an effort to learn, not making an effort to develop themselves. And I think that's extremely, extremely important, guys. Learn about what's going on. Learn about what's going on, because these people aren't. Okay, these people aren't, and that's very obvious. Now, the part that is, in my opinion, in a lot of people's opinion, is much bigger than the protests are the fact that Trump was getting tweets removed by Twitter. Okay? This is really important. This is very important, and this is very, very big. The President of the United States was getting censored. Now, this is a lot of jargon that you probably hear a lot, so I'm going to rephrase it because this is huge for the future, guys, in the world that we live in. Twitter was deciding what the President of the United States was saying to the public, guys. This is so big. All right, this is when Twitter becomes bigger than just an app on your phone. Okay, think about this. Twitter was deciding what the President of the United States was saying to the public. Okay, now while I agree that it might have been a reasonable move at the time, where is the line in the sand here? Okay, where is the line in the sand here? Who is the person at Twitter that gets to decide what information that the world gets? Not only the United States, the world gets. Okay, this guy's not elected. Whoever runs Twitter is not elected. He is a Silicon Valley guy that won the business lottery. Okay, let's be honest. This guy, if you look into it, he won the Silicon Valley technology lottery app. And now all of a sudden this guy, based on what has happened with the censorship and is based on this, is at a higher position than our president. Right? He gets to decide what is said and what is fed to the public, and so on. It's so huge, guys. This is back to our talks on the social dilemma. Okay, these people that run these companies have a lot of power. How much power? Well, they arguably have a little more power than the most powerful person in the United States, one of the most powerful people in the world. They can decide to shut him off and say, nope, that's too much. I want to know what decision making went in to actually permanently suspending Trump's Twitter account, guys. Okay. President Trump's Twitter account has been permanently suspended as of Friday. Facebook blocked him on their app. Other apps have shut down his account and his ability to talk on them. Now, I'm not saying this is exactly the worst move. I think this was probably the right move at this time, especially because if you saw Trump's let me pull this back a little bit. After the White House was stormed, it was obvious there was an issue. Things were getting out of hand. And Trump realized, I think, that he fucked up. Okay, because Trump caused this. He fed us this narrative since the beginning, right? If we don't win this election, before the election even started, if we don't win this election, it's rigged. He fed us this narrative, and we kind of knew something crazy was going to happen, right? We talked about it. Oh, I'm scared if Trump loses, what's going to happen? You know, what's the revolt? What's going to happen? We knew this was going to happen, and it's 100% his fault. But after it happened, Trump realized that he fucked up. Okay, and I'm sure he had a team behind him that said, you took this too far. So he made a video, an apology video. Not really an apology video, but Trump's version of an apology video, where he said, go home. But he did not just leave it at that. Trump said he did not back down. The election is rigged. This was bullshit, pretty much, in his words, in his Trump lingo. This is bullshit, but go home. Okay, which is not the most effective way to get people out of the White House, right? It seemed like he really didn't give a shit. And sometime after this video, his account was completely removed. Okay, the internet literally shut off Trump. I just don't know, guys. It's a crazy, crazy time. All right, it's a crazy, crazy time. And I don't really know what Trump's goal was through all this. I don't really know why he's doing this, why he won't just go home. It's obvious that they're not going to reverse the results of the election. Okay, we've been the judicial court systems across the United States have been working on this nonstop since those ballots were casted that first day. And it's very obvious that, and after we had the little meeting in the White House, that this was not going to be overturned, that we're going to go forward. I'm just struggling to understand what he has to benefit from this. Why isn't he giving up? What is his agenda? Okay, because part of me thinks that Trump knows what he's doing. Part of me thinks that he's actually an intelligent guy behind that with an agenda. And I'm just curious what that agenda is, guys. I'm just curious what that agenda is because it's very, very interesting to me. So bottom line, guys, just work on your brain. Don't become a pawn. Don't feed your own narrative. Don't, you know what I mean? Just don't be like these guys. Don't be an idiot. All right. One thing I've been thinking about doing on the podcast, guys, I got this idea this week, is what if I started roasting Hinge accounts on the podcast? Okay. Should I make this a section of the podcast or is it too mean? Because I was around this chick and she pulled up her Hinge profile and the accounts I was seeing were absolutely hilarious and just animalistic. Like, if you don't believe that humans evolved from monkeys, if you don't believe that humans evolved from monkeys, if you don't believe in evolution, download Hinge, download Tinder. Whether or not you're interested in men is irrelevant here. Switch your interest to men and start scrolling through men's profiles on these dating websites. And you will see within 15, 20 minutes that we are fucking barely a half jump away from straight mammals in a jungle, guys. It's ridiculous. I was laughing my ass off watching this chick scroll through these dudes on Hinge. It was so funny. Okay. And I think it would be funny to play around with this on air. Okay. So hit me up. Let me know. Call in. DM me, whatever it may be. And let me know what you guys think about this because this would be hilarious. Once we get a producer on the pod, it's possible that we could just make like a burner or a catfish Hinge account and just make a section of the podcast where we go through Hinge profiles of dudes. You know, tell them what they're doing well, tell them what they're not doing well, and just kind of rip them. Because some of these guys, come on, man. Some of these guys, I mean, if you guys are, if it's one of you listeners, make sure you don't look like an absolute D-bag on your Hinge, okay? Some of that stuff was rough. And I think it would be hilarious and valuable for some laughs on the pod. While we're talking about it, the update for the producer. So right now, the producer role, right, the expansion of IP Monkeys to bring on a producer and add a little section to the podcast at the end, a little current events half, is still a couple months away. The main reason is that I need to be in a new location. The next time I build my studio will be when I move here in April, and that's most likely when the producer section of the podcast will kick off. Because upon moving on to that new location, I will be building a new studio. And when I build it, it will be set up for a producer, for a two-man team. Okay? Because right now it would be damn near impossible for me with the setup we have now to bring on someone and try to force this two-man team for IP Monkeys. So it's no rush, but it is coming. Okay? It's something that I'm going to try at the very least, and we have someone that's going to come on and help us. And it's something I want to try at the very least, guys. Like I said, this is a long-term journey. I say this every fucking week, and I'm going to say it again. It's a long journey. So I'm not afraid to try new things and see how you guys like it. Okay? I would just say be open to new ideas. These ideas that I do come up with are not just out of the blue. To be honest, I recycle them from bigger podcasts, from more established, older podcasts that have been doing it for tens of years. And it's worked. It's been proven to work, and I think it would be a great addition to this. So we're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna give it a shot. Okay, in the new studio, which I'm really, really excited to roll out, and the new logo should be coming soon. We have a graphic designer working on it right now. So the upgrades are coming. Guys, one thing I've been thinking about a lot this week is how I can weaponize this idea of the role of chance in life, the role of luck in life. Okay, you've kind of seen my evolution over this topic. When I first talked about it, it was beating me up. Right, every time I looked at a rich guy with a Ferrari, I was thinking, how the fuck did you get that? What lucky break did you get? Then I got over it a little bit. And I was like, I'm not thinking about it as much anymore. It's not really consuming me as much. I'm chilling. Luck's important, but it's not the most important thing. Now I'm at this final stage, right? It hasn't left. I'm at this final stage where I'm trying to figure out how to weaponize the idea. What is the benefit? I'm overly aware of this idea that chance has a role in life, because it does. How can I extract a positive in it? Okay. And this is what I was thinking. Okay, guys. And my first thought was, it's gonna get a little floaty here, but I'm gonna focus here as we continue on. The best podcaster in the world has never podcasted. Okay. The fastest runner in the world has never run in a 100-yard dash. Okay. Why you should take the leap to whatever passion you're about, whatever you love, is because you never know if you could be that person, right? You never know if that lucky draw could be it. Right. And I'm not doing a good job of focusing right now. Is what I mean is, let's look at an athlete, for example. This idea of acknowledging the role of luck and chance in life, I think makes the top seem more attainable, or it can. Okay. Say, for example, you look at an athlete comes into your restaurant, Larry Fitzgerald, and people are in awe. People are freaking out. Right? This weird fame thing that people do that we've talked about before. Right? But here's the deal. Let's boil it down. Let's look at it through the scope of luck. This guy that everyone's freaking out about, that everyone's dropping their pants for and awing and drooling over, just happened to pick up a football and enjoy it at the age of 6. Now, he had skill. He was a good player, but he just happened to pick up a football at the age of 6. But many better football players, many much more skilled athletic football players, never did pick up that football, never had the opportunity, whether it be poverty, or they grew up in a poor environment, they were in the hood, or maybe they just never had the support or the financial freedom, or maybe their mom was working too much, right? Many better athletes never picked up the football like Larry Fitzgerald did. Okay, and my point here is pick up the football. Okay, how good would your YouTube channel be? You'll never know, because you never bought that camera. You never took that leap. Okay, I think this is very, very valuable, because while you should appreciate success in the high ups, right? Joe Rogan, Larry Fitzgerald, Tom Brady. When you think about the role of luck and chance in their success and where they're at, I think it makes it much more attainable and surmountable for us to think about achieving success. Okay, what if Tom Brady never picked up a football? What would he be doing? He'd be working an office job just like you. Okay, so what is your football? What is your football? What are you passionate about? What gets you going? Do you like exercise? Do you like nutrition? Okay, then figure out how do people monetize that? I know people make YouTube videos off being nutrition experts. Okay, if that's something you're passionate about, pick up the fucking camera. Buy the camera. Okay, because the best nutrition YouTube channel has not yet been made, was never made, because the educator, the person passionate about it, never bought the camera. Okay? I think it's very, very valuable. I think it's very, very valuable to think about this as these people, because we talk about these people as if they're gods, right? As if they're given talented from birth and it's meant to be, and so on and so forth. And then it's just not the case, guys. It's just not the case. Bill Gates happened to grow up in a time where no one had fucking computers. Okay, so he would rent time at his university or wherever he was at, and he would luckily rent time to go code at the one fucking computer in his state. As a result, when computers boomed and technology became the thing, he was one of the most knowledgeable, and now he's a billionaire. It's right place, right time type of stuff, guys. And all it takes is that first step, right? All it takes is that first step. Bill Gates picked up the computer, all right? Sat down at the computer. Larry Fitzgerald picked up the football. What have you not picked up? Okay? What have you not picked up? I picked up the microphone. I bought the microphone, took a leap. Who fucking knows what's going to happen with this, guys? Who fucking knows what's going to happen with this? But I was very, very close to not doing this podcast. Right at the start of this podcast, which was a 5-minute science podcast, I had no idea if it was something that I wanted to do. 55 weeks later, we're enjoying the fuck out of it. We're recording 40, 30, 40, 50-minute episodes, interacting with the community and having a great time and growing. Okay, so pick it up, whatever it is. Start it. Whatever you're passionate about, guys, figure out how to monetize it. Okay, now if it's worth it, if it's something that if you, when achieved, is going to make you feel better than anything in your life, it's not going to come quickly. Okay, but if you're passionate about it and you truly want that to become a pillar of your life, you'll stick with it, and I am almost certain that it will happen in one way or another. Okay. You'll monetize it in one way or another. You might not become a millionaire, but consistency is the key, guys. Stay consistent with whatever. Pick it up. Start it, whatever it might be, because you never fucking know. Okay, you never know if you'll catch the lucky break that you need. My relationship with social media, guys, has evolved to the point where I'm really no longer on those apps anymore, and it feels really, really good. It's been a really big battle for me, and it's been something that's very, very difficult for me. I'm not sure if it affects me more than other people, but it has been a struggle. Okay, especially because I work so much, and I'm kind of in this such of a grind state of my life where I'm somewhat sacrificing my early 20s for prosperity in my early 30s. It just doesn't help me out much. Right? It doesn't help me out to see people flexing on Instagram and showing their cars and showing their adventures and their journeys across the nation and the beaches they're on and so on and so forth. It doesn't make me feel good. And rather than me trying to figure out the positives in it and scroll through and find people that only provide me value, I've somewhat just taken a back step from it. And now I use it solely for the business purpose of IP Monkeys, or the community purpose of IP Monkeys. So if you guys do follow me on Instagram, I'm not going to be posting on it anytime soon, most likely. At least until COVID ends and I can go out with friends again. So follow at IP Monkeys on Instagram, and that's pretty much where I post, and you guys can hear from me. Right? I post regular clips every week. And yeah, I'm very, very consistent on there. And I'm going to be, at the moment I stop posting on Instagram is a moment that I somewhat give up on a part of IP Monkeys, and that's just not something that we're going to do. Okay, so we have consistent posting on there. I'm stepping away from my personal profile until things change a little bit in life, until things get a little more stable, until I have a little bit more going on. I'm not going to force content. I'm not going to force photos. And we're losing followers. I really don't give a shit anymore, guys. I really don't give a shit anymore. It's irrelevant to me. We're doing well. We're on path. We have goals, so on and so forth, guys. And my last question of the day is, when is work too much? When is the grind too much? When is 2-3 jobs too much? Okay, when is the work, the benefit, the extra money, the feeling of being a grinder no longer worth the loss of free time or the loss of mental capacity, so on and so forth? I'm in this spot right now. So I took on this extra job during the evenings, and I pretty much work all the time now. And when school starts this next week, it's going to be rough. And I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't starting to catch up with me a little bit. I was really enjoying it at first because it took up some of my free time. I wasn't in my head as much. But when is enough enough? You know, when do you take it too far? It's not like anything else is going on right now. We're still somewhat in quarantine. There's not a lot going on the weekend. So to be honest, I'm not missing out on too much. The biggest thing I'm missing out on is just time to think, guys. Time to think. Time to be in my head. Time to mull over things. And this is great at first. This is the exact reason that I enjoyed working so much at first. But I'm on the other, I've swung to the exact opposite side of the spectrum now. Where I don't have enough time to think. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Right? It's like I can't be happy. And I think what it is I haven't found the balance. And I don't know what that balance is, and I don't know how to master that balance between work and leisure. All right. It seems that when I'm working, I want to be relaxing. And when I'm relaxing, I want to be working. And too much of either make me swing back on the pendulum. If I've been relaxing too much recently, I want to work. But if I've been working too much recently, I want to relax. And it's frustrating, guys. It's frustrating, guys. Because it just seems like I can't make myself happy. I don't know. I get my master's here in May, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen afterwards, guys. I don't know what to do. Right now, the plan is to get my PhD because I have no idea what else to fucking do. The world I'm in, the people I'm around, the coworkers I work with, all continue the PhD. I don't really think anybody thinks about it or thinks about their options. I think that's just how it is when you're smart and you're good at learning. And you continue onwards. And this is my thought about 2 years ago, but is this really the path for me? Right? Do I want to end at my master's and start working and start building a career and start making some fucking money? Or do I want to continue trudging through the sand to get a PhD in front of my name? And why do I want a PhD? Do I really want the job opportunities it holds, or do I want the respect? Right? Because it would be wrong to say that having a doctor in front of your name wouldn't be awesome for the rest of your life. I just want people to call me Dr. Kleinschmidt. How cool would that be? The respect. Wow, he's smart. How much of that is directing me in this direction? How much of the path I'm on is for other people, for other people's perspective of me? And how much of this journey is for me? Because I want to do it. And that's something I'm battling with pretty seriously right now, guys. I don't know. Yeah, I went to my advisor, the person that kind of guides me through my education, and he suggested I get my PhD because he has a PhD and everybody he knows has a PhD. His opinion is biased. But I haven't gotten any other perspectives, guys. So I don't really fucking know. It's one of the biggest struggles for me right now. So I'm going to call some professionals, the nutritionist for the Phoenix Suns, Danielle Lafada, and see what she has to say. See if she could potentially get me any job opportunities fresh out of my master's. And if so, then that'll be a serious option. Then I can actually start working day to day, start grinding day to day, and start making some fucking money and starting this adventure of the adult life. Like, 'cause I'm still somewhat in a limbo. I have the income of a college student. While they pay for my tuition and they give me a little extra on top, it's not enough, guys. If I had a solid job, I could separate. Here's my thoughts currently. If I had a solid job out of school, working for the Phoenix Suns, I wouldn't have to pick up a job in the evenings. I could separate my work and my leisure. I could have a clear divide between when I work and when I get off and when I can relax and work on my passions. Right now, I don't have that, and I'm curious if that's something that I want to do. This idea, it's hard for me to please myself. Okay? It's hard for me to please myself. I can't make any fucking decisions. Right? Who's to say that once I do make this change, once I leave the college, the graduate student lifestyle, and I go into the workforce, that I'll miss the graduate student lifestyle. It's a battle, guys, and we're trying to figure it out constantly. We're trying to figure it out constantly. If you guys have any thoughts, any feedback, any ideas, any battles of your own, guys, feel free to call the Interplanetary Monkeys hotline at 602-892-4371. Let me know who's listening out there, guys. I'm extremely curious. Get involved. Leave a voicemail on that number, 602-892-4371. Leave a voicemail, and we'll play it back on the podcast, and we'll talk about it, guys. Whatever it may be. All right? Whether it may be that you need to get more sun rays or that you need a religion. All right? I'm not really sure. We're all just trying to figure it out and find our way in this big old mess that we call life. All right, this week was a little interesting, especially with the White House being stormed. It pretty much took over the media. Not a lot else going on, guys. But I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you're working on yourself. I think a pinnacle of last week is make sure you're educating yourself, guys. Make sure you're at least reading a couple articles. Right? Don't believe everything you see online. Realize that these websites have an agenda. When you click, they get money. And you're more likely to click if you're scared, frightened, or angry. Okay? So keep your head on straight. Take the leap towards whatever you're passionate about. Figure out how to make money off of it. Because someone makes money. Someone makes money off what you love to do. And who's to say that you can't do it better than them? Okay? And you will never know if you never take the leap. If you never pick up that football, you'll never know if you could be an NFL star. Right? If you never pick up that microphone, you'll never know if you could have a podcast better than Joe Rogan. All right, so pick up the fucking football, friends. Take the leap and have a good week, all right? All righty. This is Hunter Klein bringing you this week's episode of Interplanetary Monkeys. Have a good week, and you bet your ass you'll hear from me next week. Peace, peace.